Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to PSGL Season 34, the second lobby of the night for PlayStation, and we head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia for the Spanish Grand Prix. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me in the commentary box tonight, we've got PSGL PSF2 lead commentator from last season. It's Mr. James Head. James, how you doing?
Really well, Jess. Well rested off Friday night. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thanks. Ready to get going with some racing as well. I believe the lobby is full, so we've got all the drivers there ready to go. Basically, the drivers that are racing tonight are either from F1, F2 or F3 from last season, the majority, of course, being from F1. And we've got a stacked grid. Of course, we have the F1 champion from last season, Max, who won around this circuit last season, and don't forget, of course, the removed chicane in the final corner. That's going to make quite a massive difference, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and of course, that final sector is only, 17-18 seconds long, as opposed to the chicane, which takes an absolute age to get out of in the last game. But what remains to be seen is how these guys are going to cope with the new handling model. The new handling model, of course, coming in on this game. Jerry Van Bussel, of course, F2 champion, also here tonight as well. Stacked absolute grid, and I cannot wait to get into the action. I think the drivers are just beginning to ready up now, I believe.
Yep, exactly. Of course, Spain hosted in real life a couple of weeks ago as well, and it was a very entertaining race in terms of strategy as well. There was a threat of rain, and George Russell thought it was thought it was rain, but it was actually sweat coming down his visor, which I found entertaining. Hopefully we won't get the same like that in this race, but luckily I think Jensen has set it to clear weather tonight, so no wet weather luckily as well. It's just for a bit of fun to get used to the game. F1 23 obviously been out for a week now, almost a week now, if you've had the Champions Edition as well, and with new tracks such as Qatar and Las Vegas as well, with updates to Spain as well, and Austria as well. And I think the changes are going to make a massive difference to race, and of course we don't know what the calendar is as well. I'm almost certain that the two new tracks are going to be there on the first season.
They will, and Qatar and Las Vegas, speaking of which, are just absolutely godly to drive. Honestly, it is so good. Even on a pad, even being a pad driver like me, it is so good to drive on these tracks. Spain, I've been doing a few inside laps around here just before we came live as well. 111.3, I think, is my personal best in time trial at the minute. Wow. These guys are inevitably going to go about a second quicker than that, so remains to be seen what's going to happen.
That's better than me, I have to say. And you're actually starting to get back into racing on this game as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the chat in another league, which I'm not going to say what it is, but I believe we are about to get underway. It is not Q1, by the way. That's just a glitch in the game. It is short qualifying, 18 minutes, and obviously the fastest time will get pole position as well. And what's going to be different as well is the tyres as well. The tyres can last a bit longer around here, but tyre day could also play a massive factor. And as I've noticed, the tyre warm-up is very different with which tyre you go on to, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Of course, we've got the softs, the mediums, and the hards. I think C3, C4, and C5, if I'm not mistaken, around this track. And it remains to be seen what is going to really happen in terms of the action. I was catching up with the Lobby 1 action as well. They had a safety car within the first 3 laps, so hopefully that is not going to happen here tonight in Lobby 2. But what we can guarantee is action throughout the field, real close-knit racing, hopefully some good action as well. The first drivers are just beginning to leave the pit lane as we speak as well. I believe the first man out on track is in a Haas, and I'm going to take a very hazardous guess, as that might be Mr. Shazoo Jensen.
Yep, it is, of course. Jensen having a much better second half to the season compared to the last few seasons, of course. And he started to find his feel into PSF1. Got his first win in the top division in China as well, where he pulled off a really bold strategy, staying on the intermediate tyres for the entire race, and it worked. And then in Mexico, he got a podium, so we got some decent points in there as well, and it was really great to see his progression as well, which hopefully could see him in the top division for many seasons to come as well. Obviously, Marcados as well, who is in the Mercedes tonight. He was in the Mercedes here as well. Finished 9 points behind Matt in the championship last season, and he's got 12 points in the last race in Brazil. The last race in Brazil was absolutely chaos for our championship contenders, which saw Matt claim the title. But, James, were you preparing some inside laps for today's Grand Prix? I'll let you take on board with the rest of Jensen's lap.
Yeah, coming through the right-hand return number 5, not looking actually too bad. 21.4 in the first sector. We were seeing 21.3s, 21.2s towards the end of the session in Spain. Oh, as he just invalidates actually on the exit of turn number 6, which is very unfortunate. Commentator's curse from you right there, Jess. I think they're down in 9th position currently is Jensen. I think next up actually is Mubarak, the pad goat, as he runs in toward the right-hander of turn number 9. He can take that flat out on this game. Very high 6th gear actually coming through there on board with the OP man of Mubarak, and it's a 50.1 in the middle sector. Purple showing on the screen. Reconfigured turn number 10, just catching the oversteer a little bit there, coming through turn 10, and now through the right-hand return number 11. And this is where the track changes. Literally comes down through the MotoGP lane now, through turn 12, through 13, and then into the right-hand return number 14 at the final corner. That is a lap of Spain over and done with. Mubarak down to the line, 111.1. I guarantee you, though, Jess, we are going to see quicker lap times than that. As soon as I say that, Nando was just going quickest by a 10th of a second, and Rowan coming in there with a 111.2.
Some familiar faces up there near the top, including Kian and Marcados as well. It's timings everywhere. You get pole, you get pole, no, you get pole at the moment as well. Let's see how our F2 champion is doing at the moment, Jerry Van Bussel, who has been very dominant throughout the F2 season last season, picked up multiple wins as well. Kind of reminded me of Tom, where before his last season in F2 quite a few seasons ago as well. I think it was on F1 2021. Could we see the same here, him doing well in potential F1? 110.9 for him as well. Almost pretty much faster than the lobby 1 that we saw. I think by 10th is going to make quite a few differences as well. As we believe Devon, who just came across the line in P15. Nice to see him in the lobby, isn't it? I haven't actually commentated on him since season 30, I think it was season 31 or 32 that I haven't commentated on before. So great to have him back in my radar a little bit, but he's down by the bottom 4 now. We got Tom, who's about to start a lap, and I have to say, very unlucky in Brazil. He was in the championship fight as well. He could have taken advantage, but he had a few technical issues, unfortunately. So, yeah, again, he was another driver that struggled at the start, had a very good middle, but at the last race, it came crashing down, unfortunately. But definitely another driver to look out for this season as he heads towards turn 5 and 6.
Yeah, very wide actually coming out of turn number 5. Nearly over-rotated onto the grass slightly, just overtaken on the curb through 6, and then in toward the left-hander now of 7 and 8 through the little chicane that this track, of course, provides. That sausage curb can really take you off the camber coming through the corner. Luckily, Tom got through that okay. Was very unlucky on Friday night as well in WOR as he now comes in toward the left-hander of turn number 10. Oh, as he squirrels his way through turn number 10. 50.1 in the middle sector. It's not looking too bad, but this is not a good setup for Tom. Let me tell you that now. It's Marcados because this will key in the top 3 as it stands, because this will actually come in between the TF10 man and the TF men who are further down the field. Tom is on the run toward the line, however, and 10th position, 111 flat. Now, Spain, probably not one of his best tracks. Silverstone, he was very strong around in on Friday night, obviously. They're in 10th position, 111 flat. I don't think that is going to be the best lap. Stefano, I believe the other Stefano that we've got in the lobby as well, could be a bit of a harsh thing for us to see in the commentary box, especially if you qualify together. Luckily, Stefano, I think, is going to go well up the field into 7th position, and FVR Stefano has got something to live up to if you want to try and get onto the same road of the grid. But Jess, look at how many are separated by, what, a 10th of a second, covering Yossi all the way down to Mubarak is very close indeed.
Yeah, separated by 4/10 of a second, the top 12. It's very, very close indeed. That's why obviously they're in this lobby. And whoever is my co-com for F1 this season, I have to say, get used to the two Stefanos, because me and Aiden, I think, got very, very confused last season as well. And speaking of Aiden, he's moved to PC full-time. He can't commit to Mondays, unfortunately. He's actually going to be racing on the PC side on Thursdays as well, so wish the best of luck as well. But yeah, that's very, very exciting stuff. Obviously, people moving platforms as well. So we have many PlayStation drivers moving over to PC recently. I thought Kian was going to move to PC, but obviously he's sticking out with the PlayStation. Obviously, Legend Rosenberg had some really great races on the PC before and then did quite well. A few persons in the chat saying, let's go Volakongen. That's Frederick Grant. Hello, how are you doing? Jensen validated again. Oh, Jensen, he's in last place at the moment. What does it take for him to get some good luck around this track? It might be taking just some getting used to, I think.
Yeah, it's the pressure of having me in the lobby, I think, alongside him. That's what the pressure is getting to, I think, at this stage. Down in 20th position. However, though, he made that F1 Esports Challengers protocol, I think it was in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, where he actually attended. It was a very good performance. He didn't score any points that day, however, so Jensen there, down in 20th, looking to try and find some of that form back. Mubarak, however, I believe is the next one on a lap. He's actually purple through the first sector. Jill saying in the chat there, love the energy Jess brings. I agree. Total energy here in the commentary box. Troy A in the chat saying let's go Vola, and Frederick Grand saying let's go Vola as well. Vola Kongan at the minute is in 10th. He's just starting up on a lap coming through the first sector. Mubarak, however, is coming through the middle sector. The OP man is a 49.9, 2/10 up in the middle sector. This is where the pad hacks really come into play, coming through this final sector. Of course, he is one of the drivers, and I believe the only driver actually in this lobby that is running pad right now. And Barrett coming through the right-hander of a turn at number 13 through New Holland corner, then through the final corner, turn 14, gets caught slightly on the sausage curb, but it's a good lap from Mubarak, goes to the line, goes fourth, good lap time from him. However, I believe we have got Kian on a lap as well, and he's actually improving by 1700. Could go second, Nando going fourth as well. Plenty of improvements to go, and we're only halfway through qualifying.
Yes, and plenty of time to get people to set their best laps in as well. We've seen in PSF1, and I know you've probably seen it in F2, that the main laps come towards the middle of the session. Nobody seems to improve, really, in the last bit of qualifying. But you never know, F123 can change things ever so slightly. And I think Mubarak is probably going to have it easier this season, because if you don't know about the F123 features, they introduce precision drive as well, which means that pad players have a bit more of a control and more authentic experience. They're able to turn the wheel on their pad a bit more precise as well. They're able to set the degree difficulty as well as their saturation and dead zone and stuff like that, which I think is very cool, because on previous games, obviously, controller players have not had it the best, and Mubarak, I think, still done a good job. Despite that, someone's hit the wall. That's Yossi from Talent Factory. He's hit the wall. He's out of qualifying. Mubarak is going into the pit, and Kazizzle is fast at the moment with a 110.6, 12 thousandths ahead of Markados.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, Yossi's spinning that coming out of turn number 12. It is so easy to do, I've got to say, coming out of turn number 12. I have caught, even on a pad, even on my little pad, I have caught that completely as well, coming out of turn number 11 on time trial. You smash into the wall, you will end up out of the session. Yossi not surprised that he's at the session with that hard hit. There is as well a little bit of Benzer there going fourth as well. He's doing a very good job, I think. Also a move recently, Spy, the man down in 12th position, Aurelian, has now moved teams. Was formerly Shazoo, now part of Talent Factory. I've got to say that is a very good move, I think, from Aurelian's perspective. The Frenchman looking to try and provide some of that good form that he has shown. Harvey there saying in the chat, wonder when I get a chance to do comms with Jets. Energy overload, apparently, there in the chat. And I'm and Dopey saying, I don't like this commentator. Well, get used to me if you are looking at the commentary here. But it's 7 minutes and 30 seconds ago. It's because this is lad on top. It's Markados in second. Kian there in third. Aurelian there, as I was mentioning, has joined Talent Factory, of course. Matthias there saying in the chat as well, is it full qualifying? No, that is a glitch, unfortunately. As for many, as Aurelian has actually just missed the pit lane up just tied, which is not great for the Frenchman. He has just missed the pit lane, and he's going to have to do a full lap on no fuel, which is probably the worst thing you could happen going through here. But yeah, Harvey there, Matthias saying, is it full qualifying? No, it is just short qualifying, 18 minutes worth. It is a glitch on the game, which I believe is getting fixed in the next patch, which is coming out next week.
Yes, and I think they've given notes as well as to what the patch could be as well, so that could be interesting. And yeah, I got a bit confused when I was watching the PC social races last week. I was like, hang on, they're not doing full qualifying, and someone said no, it's a glitch. So luckily it's all good, but luckily with PC F1, that is called full qualifying. That's starting on Wednesday, their season 34. I'm very much looking forward to watching that as well. Of course, you've got George Morgan and Jack Canan taking you through the action. And I can't remember what. Do you know what round? Where they're racing? Do you know what track?
You are really testing the limits here.
Was that you don't know? Okay, that as long as you don't know, I don't know as well. I should have watched the end of the stream, to be honest, but there we go. But Volakongan then, as he almost had a tonk of oversteer heading towards turn number 8, then turn number 9, well, you could have a bit more throttle here compared to previous games. I have to say, I like the handling a lot better on this game as well. You could take corners a lot better through here, through towards turn number 10 as well. A lot of elevation change through here as Volakongan takes it very nicely indeed. Hopefully that Aston Martin moves out of the way, which he does. Takes a lot of curve, Volakongan. He's currently sitting in P15 right now. Margados goes fast as 110.6. What could Volakongan, the previous F2 champion from a few seasons ago, only 4 TP, does not improve at all. Who's next across the line? I believe that's one of the Hasses who came across the line. Nope, he's going into the pit. Next is one of the Alpines. Oh, it's hard to have a look because they've got the logos instead of the colours. Oh, that's very annoying. But it does look nicer at the end of the day as Stefano comes into the pits. Most people are coming into the pits at the moment. The only one on that is OP Rowan, who has had a great few performances in F1 as well. Got very unlucky in some places, but he has shown his craft in this tier.
He has indeed. Nando was actually furthest on lap 49.8 through the middle sector, a tenth and a half up, and he's looking very, very good, I've got to say. The man now coming to the right-hander of turn number 11. We'll see what Rowan was doing in the middle sector. He's actually down by 0.008 of a second, 50 flat in that middle sector. Nando coming through the final corners, on the run to the line goes the Mercedes, and he goes 5th. Good lap time, actually, in the end, from the Aston Martin, not the Mercedes. You can tell we're colourblind here in the commentary box here tonight. Marcado's out on top because Izzle there in second, Kean there in third. Currently, though, down in, at the minute, P4 is the PSF1 champion of Max. Now, Max 110.7. That is more like the pace that we normally see. Of course, it is still only a week into the game, and it is going to be very fresh in their minds of the game actually coming alive, as Keane has actually retired in the pit lane, so he's not going to be improving any further in this session. Max, though, in 4th. So far, so good, I've got to say, from his perspective, but is there a sense of expectation, potentially, Jess, where Max, he obviously won the PSF1 title last season. Is that expectation for him to go pole position every single race? Because he was really good in qualifying last season.
Yeah, he was, and usually when he did not get pole position or get the win, I think people started to feel a little bit shocked as well. And we've seen many PSF1 champions move on to the PC side as well. I think obviously Dan Urko was the last one, Tiger Hardy as well. Both of them moved over to PC on the PSGL exactly, but obviously, oh, Max has taken the old line. I don't think you're meant to do that, Max. I don't think that's going to be the last time somebody forget that. But luckily it was on his in-lap anyway, so it's all good as Aurelian is about to start his out-lap at the moment. And I have to agree with you. Aurelian moving over to Talon Factory was the best decision. And as Max has retired, I don't know why, he's going to be starting no lower than 4th, James.
Unless he realises that it's actually Q1 and not short qualifying, then he's been a little bit of a fool, I think, to actually retire a little bit earlier. He is 7,000 of a second off Kian there in 3rd. And that actually really brings, I think, Talent Factory into play in terms of the team events on this game. Of course, Legacy Division in the other league, which I'm not going to mention. I'm going to be doing that this season. Talent Factory and PSR really went to town on the last game, hopefully for more of the same, as Aurelian is just starting up on his lap. Speaking of Talent Factory, he's on the run down in toward the right-hander of turn number 1, and the Frenchman has got this really air of expectation again on him, as have much of the field, to be honest. But Aurelian now coming through the right-hander of turn number 3. Very thin line. You can actually gain ground on the inside line. About a tenth of a second. Very, very surprising not to see that line being taken. It's a 21.429 in the first sector from Aurelian, and he's not looking too bad at all as he comes now down in towards Sayat corner at turn number 5. Alpine going out the way to the left-hand side, I believe, is the man of, and I'm just trying to see who that might have been. It was somebody. Aurelian coming out through the right-hand. It was Kazizel that moved out the way. It was Aurelian now coming through the right-hand return number 8 into the left-hander return number 9. He's looking very good, I've got to say, on this lap. To 50 flat in the middle sector, so 700 top, not looking too bad at all. But at this stage, Aurelian needs to find a bit of time, and he is going to go potentially Tom, Jerry Van Bussel, 8th, 9th, that sort of area, as he improves now coming through the final couple of corners. Through the right-hander of 13, then through New Holland corner at 2 and 14, on the run to the line then with Aurelian, and he will go actually ahead of Tom, so not too far off of my prediction there. Aurelian there in 8th, but we have got more drivers starting up on their lap. Mubarak is slightly down in the first sector, 800s down in the first sector, he's totally backed off in the middle sector. Stefano was on the run toward the line, maybe just preparing for his lap. And Jensen, I think, is furthest on, and he's 21.3 in the first sector, so improving.
Yep, he's still finding that time in the house, heading towards turn number 7. The wind direction at this circuit can change quite a bit as well, in terms of the aerodynamics as well. It's very aerodynamic heavy. It requires a lot of downforce around it. I remember the accident in 2015 where Fernando Alonso partially blamed the wind for that as well. So obviously there are allowed setups, I believe, because obviously presets don't work because it allows full setups anyway, so that they some drivers will be racing with setups, some drivers don't. So which drivers have pretty much nailed their setups already within the first week of the game, or which ones are using default setup and still getting used to it? Jensen goes up to the line in P12, and we've got 10, well, pretty much 15 seconds still to go, so we're heading towards the end of qualifying then. We've got Aurelian, who I think is not going to start another lap, I don't think. So he's going to go into the pits. Yes, he's going to go into the pits. We've got one of the Hasses of Stefano. There he is. He's coming towards the final corner. A few 100s down from his previous best, but checker flag has fallen, and it is P9 for Stefano. He set purple in the final sector, actually. We've got one of the Aston Martins coming up to the line. That's Marlon. He crossed the line in P5. Then it's the Alfa Romeo of Rowan, I believe. Yes, it is Rowan that comes up to the line. P14. Then it's one of the Red Bulls, which is Jerome as well. Nice to see him back. He's in 18th place. Stefano go through the middle sector, but we've got one of the McLarens up first. No, there's not one of the McLarens. Devon is going into the pits. Mully comes up to the line in 17th. He's in 15th, so not quite in the top 10 just yet. Volokongan goes into the pits. I believe it will be Stefano who will be the last one to come out. And again, he goes into the pits. So not much improvement from their last ones, as I predicted. And it is Marcados, who got second in the last race in Brazil many months ago, is on pole for tonight's Lobby 2 social race.
Yeah, Stefano there, Devon in 20th position. Very, very shocking. But given how close I think this field actually is unbelievable. And I've got to say, absolute privilege being here in Lobby 1, talking you through the action alongside Jess, of course, who was an absolute goated commentator, of course, here in PSGL. And I know there is a bit of criticism there in the chat. I would ignore that, and we'll just focus, of course, on the action as we move forward. But yeah, Marcado's out on top. Kazildal there in second. However, Kazildal's got a 5-place grid penalty. Now, I'm going to have to go on the race director and see what happened here with this. And Kazildal, he illegally blocked, apparently. That's why he's got the 5-second penalty. We didn't see that come up on our screens. Kazildal there in second, then is going to be down in 7th. So Kian, Max, Marlon, Nando, and Benza will all jump up into 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Kazildal will then be 7th there with Mubarak in 8th, Aurelian there in 9th. Stefano top 10, both of them on the same lap times as well. That is how close the grid is. Tom in 11th, with Jerry Van Bussel, the F2 champion there in 12th. Jensen in 13th, Rowan 14th, Marley in 15th, Yossi 16th, Volokongan 17th, Irona 18th, Stefano 19th, Devon in 20th, 8/10 of a second separating the 20 drivers. We are in for an absolute treat.
Yeah, so before we go, let's have a quick word from our title sponsor again for this season, GT Omega. We will see you in just under 30 seconds. Okay, welcome back to PS Lobby 2 for PSGL Season 34. I almost said Season 33 there. It's been obviously a long while since we did PSGL. Welcome back to the action, and we just see Marcados take pole position there for today's Spanish Grand Prix, and that was a very electrifying qualifier. We don't get the timer this time, so we can't really see how long they got left, which is annoying, but the formation lap is turned on as well. Quick plug for our sponsors, by the way, GTM Mega. You can get 5% off all GTM Mega products by using the code PSGL, renewed for a third season. And one of the products you can get is one of those chairs that we're sitting at right now, kindly gifted by GTM Mega. Thank you very much. James is sitting on right now as well. There we go. We've done our job plugging the sponsor. But yeah, they're very comfy indeed. I'm guessing all the drivers are getting their setups ready. And James, what can you expect going into the race now? We've done qualifying. Race could be a very different thing.
It could be a very different thing, and I mean the 7 o'clock lobby 1 that was going on. As I said, safety calls within the first 3 laps, that could potentially happen. There's going to be contact, I think. We are going to get the formation up, however, now, and we are going to see now what tyres everyone has chosen to go on. And now there was a big actual split in terms of the strategies in lobby 1. Not here in lobby 2. I think drivers have been more cautious and more careful, and maybe they know what they're doing. I think they're out on track. There's only 2 drivers on a set of medium compound tyres, down in 9th in Aurelian and down in 13th in Jensen. The rest of the drivers are on a set of hard compound tyres. Now, tyre wear on the last game, I believe, was around 4 or 5% a lap around here on a set of medium compound tyres. So they could wear quite quickly. It is clear weather as well, so that is going to play a factor in terms of the tyres. Hard compound tyres, probably the better strategy to be on. I think everyone that's gone on a set of hards has been quite smart, and they've gone as Jerome and Volakongan have had a collision underneath the formation lap, which is not great. That's why they're disqualified now onto the grid. But on that set of medium compound tyres of Ellen Jensen, they're going to be making up ground short term. Longer term, however, they are going to struggle in terms of their tyres. I would not be surprised if they put in around lap 12, lap 13 to come in. And as I was saying about the set of hards, you can get at least 17, 18 laps as per the old game. Might be different on the new game, of course, with the handling model, but it should be 17 or 18 laps, and it should be one-stop strategy, providing that we don't get any safety cars.
I think this is typical PSGL top-tier fashion. I know it's not top-tier at the moment, where most drivers have gone for a set of the hard compound tyres, but it's great to see some few people on a set of the medium compound tyres as well. Action zones tonight, we got turn 1. People can go side by side, and people can really commit to an overtake through there as well. Turns 10 through 11 as well. Some people can get the move sometimes through turn 9, but it's very, very risky. And heading towards the final corner of New Holland as well. Some people could be very brave through there as well. Michael Schumacher won the race 6 times here. Other multiple race winners, Jackie Stewart, Mika Hakkinen, Nigel Mansell, Alan Prost, 3 wins apiece as well. We've also had Kimi Raikkonen won there 2 times. Lewis Hamilton has won the event 5 times as well. And of course, Max Verstappen won his first ever race victory around here. And obviously, he's doing really, really well in F1 today as well, and took a very great win in Canada. We're about to get underway as the 5 red lights are coming on the screen. Here we go. 1, 2, wait, where are the lights? Where are they gone? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are go here at PSGL. Marcados gets a great start. Kia not so much. Max right in the middle of this. They swoop down towards turn number 1. I think Morbark's got a good start as well. Marlon has overtaken Max into the first corner, and he could try to take Kia in for all we know as well. They all made it through cleanly, which is good. Both the Aston Martins have got away well as well. Go through the sweeping right-hander, turn 3, heading towards turn number 4. You can see the Haas is trying to go for a bit of a scrap as well. Morbark has dropped a little bit of position. He's under pressure from his teammate Benter in OP at the moment as well. Heading towards turn 6 now as well. A bit of bagging wheels, but they seem to go okay. It's a lot cleaner at the moment, but I think the strongest starts has to be the 2 Aston Martins.
So, and in the mid-pack, Jensen's just gone around the outside of Rowan for 13th as well, hanging on to that position. Yossi and Jeroen are having a bit of contact. There's 3 wide nearly, coming through turn number 9. Oh my goodness me, that could have been close. The timing towers will fix themselves, by the way, on the left-hand side. We have got 3 wide, though, into the left-hand turn number 9 further down the field. But goodness me, what a stop by everyone. Volokongan dropping down the field there in 20th, but Markados leads the way. Kian there in second, Marlon there in third. There is a yellow flag, and Marley has been caught up in a multiple collision contact.
VSC.
Actually, with Stefano and Rowan, and a VSC deployed out on track, and that brings an end to lap 1. Markados out on top, Kian in second, Marlon in third, and now they have to slow down, of course, underneath the delta. Let's have a look, because Rowan, Stefano, and Marley. Stefano's actually got away with damage there. Marley hasn't. He's got no front wing. Stefano hasn't. Rowan hasn't. I think he's got right side end plate damage into the pit lane. Looking at the position gains early on, most positions gained. Devon there in 16th position, gaining 4. Marley retires in the pit lane. Stefano has also left the session. Marley's also left the session as well.
Marley's out of the race, so it's okay.
Yeah, definitely so. And Rowan as well is the only one going. I think out of those guys, Stefano leaving the session. I don't blame him for leaving the session, to be honest, but there's 32 laps remaining. Anything could happen.
Yes, and we are going green once again then. And as the timing tower's fixing itself, Borak has got a brilliant run heading towards turn number 9 then. He's going to be early on the power. 7th gear through here, and then he's going to jump, short shift all the way down into 4th gear as well. A very brave gear to have as they head towards turn number 12 for the second time, but the first time under normal racing conditions. Max not that far behind as well, both from different teams. Both of them want to make a lot of things in this game and make a name for themselves before heading into challenges next year, as Markados sets the fastest lap of this race as well. DRS is enabled right now, so they are enabled to get the DRS if they're within 1 second, as Jensen tries to dive up the inside of Tom, heading towards turn number 1, and he does it before the braking zone, so good move from that. And what I've noticed around here, and on this game actually, DRS I think is a bit overpowerful on this game, so if you do get DRS, I think you're going to have a little bit more of an advantage, but we do still have those DRS trains. That's still a massive thing on this game, and obviously ERS is more powerful than ever before as well, as Rowan is retired in the pit lane, so unfortunately he is giving up the ghost as well. Shame to see Aurelian and Jensen not making headway on the mediums, because it's around about 4 or 5 tenths quicker than the hard compounded tyres, but it's still a long way in this race still to go that they can climb to that field pretty quickly as well. But tyre degradation, like I said, can be very key, as Jerome and Yossi trying to go by side, or a bit of contact heading towards turn number 10. They're almost pushing each other off the road there as they go towards turn number 11, and round the outside goes Jerome as well. Devon in there as well. Yellow flag set to 1. That is Rowan's car, and Rowan's AR, which is still a thing on this game as well. That final chicane is definitely proving to be really good, because they can line up for a move before turn number 1. Jerome goes for a move once again. Let's see what he can do. He's got the DRS, majorly powerful on this game. Is he going to go left or right? He's going to try and go to the inside. Nope, he tries to go around the outside this time, and he touches with Yossi for a little bit, which could have been very close. He's going to have a look for it again towards turn number 4, I expect, using a bit of his ERS. No, he's not going to use a bit of his ERS. He's decided to stay put for now, but Jerome and Yossi really fighting for a hit, and the grid is all still, apart from Stefano who's left the session, the grid is all super close and battling really hard.
Yeah, and Kian now within 4/10 of a second for the race lead as well. Now, what we saw in the last game, obviously, was everyone just sitting in a big old train, and then before the pit stops happen, everyone beginning to try and close in. Slipstream is more powerful on this game, so we should see more overtaking, more attempts at overtaking as well. Speaking of which, Volokongan on the back of Devon further down the field, was on the back of him towards turn number 10, but he's not going to get the job done from that far back. However, there has been a mistake in the midfield. Mubarak is really struggling. They're in 6th position. The AlphaTauri man of Benza right on the back of him. Of course, both in the same esports team of Outplayed Racing. However, looking at further ahead, though, Marlon is looking to try and close in on Kian. I don't think he's got the straight line speed to boot. Marlon, though, Kian, sorry, is going to have to come to the inside line of Markados, and actually goes through for the race lead. So Kian forced into the move, really. Markados in second, Marlon there in third, Nando there in fourth, with Max there in fifth, the F1 champion, of course, from last season. But already, on lap 5 out of 33, we are getting battles already, and which is very good to see. In terms of the telemetry, by the way, I know Tommy there in the chat is wanting the telemetry up on my end anyways. 33% of EOS for Kian, 44% of EOS for Markados, and 43% for Marlon in the early stages.
That's why I'm glad to have you in the commentary box as well, as I have telemetry turned off, because otherwise it clogs up the screen, which is not good. I will turn the tyres off as well, because you know what tyres everybody is as well. It'll clutter up the screen too much. I completely forgot about that as Markados really hammering down on Kian at the moment. And I think we saw, Nando and Marlon going for it on the previous lap as well. There's just so much going on, which is weird. It's like the new Volakongan is having a battle with Devon in towards turn number 10. Again, similar to what we saw with Jerome and Yossi being pushed off the circuit a little bit. Bagging wheels, the two of them as well. And don't forget, they haven't raced each other since season 32, and now they're racing with each other once again. And Markados and Kian. Markados has gone for the race lead, and he's got a DRS really, really strong there. So Markados will be taking it. I think it's going to be a switcheroo for the next few laps between Markados, Kian, and Marlon for who's going to get P1 there. And if any of the top two make a mistake, Marlon can pounce. I have to say, Marlon is surprising me in a good way. Marlon, apart from Singapore, did not have the best of seasons, not gonna lie, but new game may energise him a little bit, and he said to me that he liked Spain, so you can tell with the way that he's driving at the moment that this handling model definitely suits him. Will we see him challenging for the championship? Remains to be seen, but remember, there will be people running default setups. Not everyone has mastered the setup on this game around Spain, so we got some battles in the midfield, James.
We have indeed. Aurelian's made a huge mistake, and he's actually gone off track, taking towards the exit road coming out of turn number 10. So Aurelian there down in the set of mediums, and he was actually fighting with Jerry Van Bussel, and that could have been very interesting indeed if they were to go side by side. Mubarak on the back of Benza, they're beginning to pick up the pace again in 6th and 7th, but Markados leading the way, Keenan second, Marlon there in 3rd. Yeah, back to your Marlon point, VIR actually have done very, very well in terms of their transition from PS to PC. Oh, and there's contact further down the field. Jensen has
safety car
in the wall.
Safety car is deployed. And that was at the final corner. New Holland, it looked like as well. We will try and go ball with someone, but I think it's a bit too late. Now, since it's quite early safety car, the ones on the mediums, they could potentially go on to the hards and maybe do a Alexander Albon strategy from Australia a year ago, or will they choose to stay out? It just makes the strategy wide open. We could see a mixture of strategies, which is really what we love to see in PSGL, because I think in the last few seasons, we only got medium to hard or hard medium, but we could see completely different tyres going on the car as well. Bearing in mind, the hards and the mediums are a lot faster in terms of the gap to the softs compared to previous games as well. So it's not going to be that much of a pace difference. So it really depends on how you could get the tyres up to temperature with the operating window. Obviously, the core temperature is different to what tyre you go on to. So bearing in mind, when you go out of the pitch, you don't expect to go full throttle straight away, as I found out when I was doing some F1 World earlier. Just don't go full at it. It was this afternoon, actually. I think it was around Guitar, where I decided to go full power, and then I ended up spinning into a wall, and that nearly took me out of the race. But would anyone potentially come in? It doesn't look like it at the moment. No, Jerry Van Bussel is in.
Interesting. Jerry Van Bussel, F2 champion, dominated last season, took 5 wins in a row. Possibly one of the first ever drivers in PSGL history to do that as well on the PS side, has now spawned a reaction from in behind. Yossi, Aurelian, Jerome, Devon, all into the pit lane. Stefano, of course, is coming through the final sector in AI, so ignore him. But they're going onto that set of medium compound tyres. Now, Aurelian was on a set of mediums. He's now actually switched to the set of hards, as Kian has had contact with Markados for the race lead, and he's got left side end plate damage as Kian. Kian has got left side end plate damage coming out of turn number 3, slowing up underneath the safety car there. Markados, Kian left side end plate damage, and that is absolute curtains for the Talent Factory man. The worst possible thing underneath the safety car, apart from spinning under the safety car, has just happened. Kian's got damage, left side end plate damage, and there goes potentially his chance at a race win as well, as I think Marlon might have just touched him on the back end as well.
Yeah, so I think it was Kian that got a 5-second penalty for that as well. So unless, well, he's going to pit, obviously, because it is a mandatory pit stop in the dry. So they will have to serve it coming in to the pits as well. And don't forget, no stewards tonight, because it's not the full season. So pretty much wherever Kian goes, he's going to be a huge disadvantage. He's going to drop way down the field compared to his rivals. So maybe he may go for an aggressive undercut, or maybe stay out a bit longer on those hard tyres, potentially go on softs to the end. The softs I've noticed around Spain when I was doing 35% races can last a hell of a lot longer than normal as well. Already safety car is in this lap, as Markados, I think, is going to try and get revenge from Kian on this last lap, as both of them go side by side. What's happened with Kian? Oh, Kian's in the pits. So Keir's in the pit, so he's going to serve his penalty straight away then, and I think use that damage. I think that's why he's lost a bit of time. As Markados then tries to lead the field into turn 1, and we're green already. Marlon's got a beautiful run, and so is the two Aston Martins. They could work together through turn 1 as well. Side by side, up the inside goes Marlon. Can he get the race lead? It's going to be ever so close. It could be 3 wide. I hope it's not 3 wide. I think there's a bit of contact in the background from some drivers, but we are watching the bubble battle for the lead. Kazizl, I think, had a bit of an off. Tom Keane right at the back as well. Obviously, Keane pitted as well. Marlon almost had a bit of an off safety car. What? They cut off all the fun.
Cannot catch a break in this race. That was, I don't know who it was, down in towards turn number 1. All I saw was an Alpine very late on the brakes. I'm thinking it might have been Kazizl, actually, who's got no front wing. That front wing is completely gone after smashing into the wall. Coming out of turn number 2, Tom has been caught up in that as well. And I think Tom was the unlucky one out of all of that as well. He's got no front wing. Another wonder there's a safety car out on track. But there was absolute drama throughout the field. There was about 4 wide, I think, down in towards turn number 1. It was a battle of the late breakers. Somebody broke late, went into the back of Mubarak. Mubarak then spun completely into the rest of the field. Tom no front wing. Kazizl no front wing after a spin coming out of turn number 3. Absolute drama here in Spain. Safety car came in a lap earlier than what that I was expecting anyways as well. Markados now leads Marlon in second, Nando in third, and there is going to be no change, I think, towards the front end of the field. But look at that man, Jess. In 6th position, Jerry Van Bussel, another safety car, really helping him along in 6th.
Yeah, he had a very brave strategy, and maybe this brave strategy can really come to fruition and at this stage. And Stefano as well stayed out. Yossi, I think, has helped him quite a lot as well. The ones who have pitted, they would probably believe that this safety car has come out because they can get back in this race and have advantage out the ones who have not pitted. Borak obviously has been forced to go on a different strategy altogether. He's going for the soft compounded tyres. You know what? Why not? It's a social race. You're not going to gain any points from it. Why try some bold strategies for the fun of it and have some battles anyway? It's F1 23 anyway, so not surprised. I'll be a bit worried that if they tried it in the actual race when PSGL Season 34 starts. I actually don't know when it's going to start, actually. Keep an eye on socials, by the way, when we will be told when the sign-ups will open at Premier Sim GL on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow us on Discord as well. That's where all the sign-ups will be open when it goes live, so you can't sign up anywhere else. So make sure you go onto our Discord, links in the description. And also like the video and subscribe to us on YouTube, because YouTube will recommend the stream to all other people that like watching some F1 and maybe even some esports as well. So subscribe to PSGL, subscribe to and any of us actually, me or James as well. That will be absolutely amazing. And yeah, not much strategy going on because we obviously had 2 safety cars. I think Simon can confirm how many safety cars they had in Lobby 1. I know they had 1 at the beginning, but I think that was the only safety car they had. I'm not entirely sure, but I won't be surprised if they had more than 1. I think the standards are a little bit interesting tonight due to the social races. Let's hope they improve when we have another social race next week. I wonder, I can't remember what that is. It might be Qatar actually next week. I'll need to double check that with Connor. But I know there's PC social races coming up as well on Thursday. But yeah, safety car will come in soon as more Borak James comes into the pits.
He does indeed, and that is for that mandatory 2-stop. So that's why he went onto that set of soft compound tyres, coming back in the pit lane. He's going to be stone dead last behind Kazizl and Tom. Kazizl, by the way, saying sorry, whoever that was. I knew it was an Alpine diving it down the inside towards turn number 1, which did not work. And Kazizl was that man. They're down in 16th, and that's why the damage was picked up. And that's why Mubarak is now all of a sudden down in 17th. With that strategy call, onto a set of softs, then onto a set of mediums. He can go to the end of the race, I think, potentially on those tyres there as well. Jensen saying as well in the chat, bit of reaction from him, 110 degrees was as low as I keep snapping every single corner in terms of his setup and in terms of his reaction there. And Jensen also saying as well, otherwise I will be on the TT set, and mentioning to Kryptonite, then you can ask Kazizl about the setup. So clearly not all things rosy-roo in Shazoo at the minute. Tom and Kazizl there down in 15th and 16th at this moment in time. But what we are going to get is the safety car coming in this lap. And literally, as I speak, safety car is going to be coming in this lap. So that means Marco's now virtual Bert Malander. He's now the virtual safety car. And this is, I think, the first time I have seen Marco's leading Marlon out on track. So this is going to be very interesting in terms of the strategy. Nando then third, Max in fourth, Benz there in fifth. The Aston Martin could work together potentially as well off the restart, as you mentioned, of course, off the first safety car restart. But what we are going to see, absolutely guaranteed, as Marcos and Marlon maybe going hammer and tongs in towards turn one. It's a much faster restart as well compared to the last one. Means everyone might be spread out coming to the final couple of corners. And Marcos goes coming out of turn 13 into the right hander of turn 14. Marlon there will try and follow him and has already got the toe actually and has already got on the overtake to try and get this move done. And do you know what? I think he might, because he goes to the inside line in towards turn one. Jerry Van Bussel through on Yossi as well and Stefano. But Marlon tries to dive it to the inside line. Marcos locks up, rear locks in towards turn one, and Marlon takes the race lead. Marcos there having to rejoin track. There's a caution through the first sector. That is the Haas of Stefano that has spun further down the field. But Marlon there leads the way. Nando in second. Max and Jerry Van Bussel are going side by side, and Jerry Van Bussel, F2 champion, overtakes the F1 champion and is about to overtake Marcos around the outside of turn number 5. Nearly forced onto the grass. Coming through Sayas. Jerry Van Bussel hung out to dry, hangs on to fourth. Contact there with Stefano further down the field, but Marlon leads, Nando second, Marcos in third. Great restart, and all of that led from Marcos rear-locking into turn one.
So it is an Aston Martin 1-2. I hope we get to see that in real life, please. I'll be amazed. Here comes Jerry Van Bussel once again, battling with the F1 Jabby from last season.
Yes.
And what a fantastic move from Jerry Van Bussel. He gets past Marcos, the runner-up from last season. He's got past both of them. Yossi's got past Max. Max is probably struggling with those medium tyres right now. Jerry Van Bussel, who would have thought, as someone takes the brake marker boards off. That is interesting. Up into third. Well, the last time we saw an F2 champion at the beginning of the game do well was Tom, as Marlon has got past by Nando into turn one. Nando's the race lead. Oh, they made contact, the both of them. That invites Jerry to pretty much overtake both of them, and Jerry is leading the Spanish Grand Prix. Who would have thought it? That is amazing stuff. He capitalised on that massively. The Talent Factory man doing well. And Yossi trying to get past Nando, heading past into turn number 4. Fantastic move from Yossi in that Alfa Romeo. It's a Talent Factory 1-2. Jerry leads, Yossi in second. And Yossi sent me some answers to some questions. And there's a lot more understeer on this game apparently. And he doesn't really like that. Well, he's definitely showing. Oh, what's going on here?
Jerome's trying to go around the outside of a rally, and that's what's trying to go on as a rally and forces him out of room. Coming out of turn number 9, Kazizel and Benza are side by side in the mid-pack as well. Max back up the inside of Marlon, who I think has got left side end plate damage on the car. He's certainly got some sort of damage after that bit of contact. He is dropping like a stone throughout the field. There's more contact as well. That time with Jerome trying to go around the outside, coming through turn number 11. There's 2 wide. Kazizel and Jerome and Mubarak getting all caught on each other. There's another brake marker board being taken out. Jerry Van Bussel leads. Yossi in second. Nando in third. Max has got Aurelian's going for Max even down the straight. Tom and Mubarak are nearly 3 wide. I don't know where to turn all of a sudden. Kian's got a big flat spot as well on his tyre, but he's down the inside of Benza and towards turn number 1 and gets the job done. Hope you're keeping up with this, Jess. I'm not. Jerry Van Bussel leads. Yossi second. Nando there in third. And Jeroen again is looking on the back of Max. What's the inside line? And Tom and Kazizel side by side as well in the background, but it's Jeroen through on Max, Tom through on Kazizel, and Mubarak is going to come through on Kazizel as well to the outside line at turn number 5. The pad man tries to go around the outside of the wheel man, and he does. Great move by Mubarak, and the side-by-side still between Devon and Benza, coming now through the left-hander of turn 7, and Devon squeezes ahead of Benza, who is dropping through the field like an absolute stone. Jerry Van Bussel leads, Yossi in second, Nando in third. Good almighty, give me a lie down. Here's Tom on the back of Max.
Wow, well done, James, on that. You covered a lot of battles in the space of a lap or two, to be honest. There's so much going on. It's hard to keep up as Tom's going to try and pass Max. Now, Max being caught up from both Tom and Mubarak. Mubarak can get past Max, heading towards New Holland now and towards turn 13 and 14 at this moment. Devon tries to get past Kazizel. There's action left, right and centre. Here comes Mubarak once more, going side by side with the champion. Here he comes. We've got Nando that's had a bit of an off. Nando's had a bit of an off. He's been passed by Redding and Marcos as Tom tries to go around the outside in towards turn number 1. We've got both the Williams. Oh, it's a bit of contact from someone. I think Mubarak or someone has got a little bit of a end plate damage that has gone off the car.
Is it Max that's got the damage, or is it the Mercedes? I can't see.
It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. It could be
Kian's the one.
I thought so. I did see it come off the Williams, so I wonder if it was there. And here comes Devin, one of the McLarens trying to fight it in towards turn number 7. You wouldn't necessarily try and go for a move. That already does. Some great moves being made today. I hope we get to see it this season in season 34. It'll be absolutely amazing to see. Let's watch Jerome once again. He could get past Margaros on the set of mediums. He does not. Yeah, I think it's Kian, because Kian is dropping way down the order in a tier 14 spot right now as we're approaching lap 16 on 33. Yordi can fight once more on Jerry Van Bussel, which is something I didn't think I'll be seeing in this race. But one thing Talon Factory have got to a T is a way of improving their drivers. Max came from Formula 3 to Formula 1, and Yordi is proving himself here today down the inside of Jerry. It's turn number 1, and he takes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix from his Talon Factory compatriot. Tom trying to go down the inside of Nando. Tom goes off the track almost. More Borat gets past Nando. Nando's struggling a little bit there. I believe he's still on his new rig that he had months ago, so he's probably still getting used to it, but he does have the wheel on a brand new game. Luckily, Marlon sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He has just pitted, and Kian has just pitted as well for, I think it was end plate damage. So yeah, you were right. It was one of the Williams drivers.
Plate damage it was, unfortunately for Kian. So unfortunate, he's down there in 17th position. Needs a safety car ideally to get into the race. There was contact, by the way, between Tom and Nando in towards turn number 1. Nando had to take to the escape road. Tom so much later on the brakes than him. Jeroen so much later on the brakes. The Marcadors here in toward the left-hander turn number 10. Tries to get the move up the inside, in through turn number 10. Force him out on the AstroTurf. Tries to go round the outside, and he does. Nice move that by Jeroen, the FER man, who qualified, by the way. I'm just going to get this up because I'm absolutely sure he qualified in 18th position, and he's now in 4th position out on track. Jerry Van Bussel qualified 12th. He's now in 2nd. And Yossi, who was in the lead of the race, has just been overtaken by Jerry Van Bussel, has gained 14 positions out on track as well. Marcos Jeroen, it's 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Goodness me, absolute carnage out on track. Williams has to take the escape. Well, that's Tom just rejoining track right in front of Marcos Jeroen and Nando, and it's 3 wide again. 2 by 2, certainly like Noah's Ark as they come in towards the right-hander of turn number 5. Nando is on balls and us as well, and there's more contact. Tom Barak and Jeroen are all sent round. Tom resets the track, Jeroen resets the track. It is a race to reset the track, and Tom has got that race to reset the track, and he's ahead of Jeroen and P12 as Yossi and Jerry Van Bussel still lead the way out on track. And my oh my, because this all side by side with Mubarak doesn't get the move done.
Well, that's your first commentator's curse of the stream tonight. Welcome to F1 2023, James. As Benzo actually is trying to fight, because if someone's gone off, that is more Borax off. He's got damage, so he is struggling, I think, a little bit out there right now. And Jeroen, I think, has spun as well. I think that's what I was looking at as well. So I think that contact that they made through turn 1 did not work. I have to say, guys, don't go 3 wide into turn 1. Someone has to back off. No one backed off there, and it ended in tears. It could have been worse, but luckily it didn't end worse as well. Here comes Devin on the back of Nando. You can tell all the pace difference at the moment on those sets of meters for Devin. Devin is up into 5th place. Morboak is retired from the session. Oh my God, the onboard audio is absolutely awful right now. Go away. I'm going to stay off the offboard for a little bit as well. I thought we usually get it on PC, but it seems to me that bug has returned to F1 23. But I think hopefully they'll get it fixed very, very soon, hopefully before the new season of PSGL starts. So I won't go on board too much because it just does sound terrible.
On my end, actually, so I'm not sure if it is a little bit of a glitch. I know I had that in WR as well on Friday, and yeah, it unfortunately is a bug. And even such a bug that the safety car could be heard instead of the actual car engines, which is very, very strange indeed. However,
that's probably why then.
It is probably why.
It's fixed again. It's fixed. Okay, we're good. Yay!
Max is on the back of Nando. Nando's actually struggling here on the set of hard compound tyres. Of course, these guys have got to make their pit lane. And a pit stops, I should say, as Max is into the pit lane from 7th position, because this is a 3-second penalty for cutting the final corner as well. Yossi on the back of Jerry Van Bussel is looking close to turn 1. He's not getting the job done. Mubarak, that yellow flag in the first sector has now gone. He was coming out of the pit lane. That glitch has still not gone away as Max is coming out of the pit lane. And he could be joining up with Jeroen and Marlon on the exit of the pit lane here, trying to see whether Ferrari's going to come out, and he's going to come out behind because Marlon's attacking Ronan towards turn number 1. And he gets the job done. He's through and he's into 12th. This race is really spaced out, though. Jerry Van Bussel leading the way. Yossi there in second. A rally in there in third. And if you said to me in the chat, guys, Jerry Van Bussel, Yossi, Aurelian, and Marcadors, what do all of them four have in common? They've got TF in their name.
Not the same team.
First, second, third, and fourth. Yeah, exactly. Not the same team, but they have got TF in their names, and they're first, second, third, and fourth. And if you said that to me, I would have laughed at you.
Exactly. I was not expecting to have Jerry, then Yossi, the top two. I was expecting them to at least probably fight for a top 10, but they're even fighting for the win of this race, which I have to say is really remarkable. Aurelian's even came in leaps and bounds, and he had a shaky season for most of it, but then in the end, he really started to show his true colours with some great performances and podiums in the last few races, and he ended up finishing 5th overall. So it just goes to show the move to Talent Factory was worth it for him, as Nando passes Devin on the run up to turn 1. He gets himself into P5 now. We will check the tyres in just a minute. What I've noticed as well, that these guys are stretching out the hards a little bit longer than expected for some of these drivers. So I would expect maybe some people go on to set up soft tyres. We've got Benza in the pit. We'll check tyres for you now. I think that was a request from one of the people in chat. Thank you very much to Dirk there in the chat, as Benza is onto a set of memes, as Tom trying to get a move on his Shizuka battery at Kazizel through turn number 7 and bagging wheels again once again for the Paladin. And Tom keeps ahead of Kazizel for now. They're not in the same teams on track, but they definitely wanted to give it their all here. It's a nice warm-up for them, ready for when the season start in earnest very soon. And that was defending there from Tom, as he tried to make sure that Kazizel did not get ahead there as well. And I have to say, some very, very good racing. And I've just had some word in the chat. Maybe Aurelian could go to the end. Maybe it can, with a little bit of a push. Maybe he could do an Alexander Albon. We don't know. But Nando comes in. Devin stays out. I think the ones on the mediums will have to pit again. The ones on the hards, like with Aurelian, can stay out. It's going to be quite an open call, as Nando goes for his first and only stop of the day.
I think, to be honest, Jess, the mediums, Yossi and Jerry, they are going to be very, very tough to get to the end of the race. 25 laps in a set of mediums. They have been going at it, quite literally hammer and tongs for the race lead. I would not be surprised if their tyres are more worn than Aurelian at this stage. Aurelian there in third, probably just staying back. The gap will begin to close down. In the next 3 or 4 laps, you'll begin to see the inroads begin to be made from Aurelian's end. And look, already 3.5 seconds coming out through the right-hander there of turn number 8. So he is beginning to close down. It's only a 1/10 of a second. But if they go towards the end of the race on that set of mediums, it is going to be very, very difficult indeed. And they are going to be absolutely shot to pieces if they get towards the end. That Kazizel and Tom battle, by the way, is now going to reappear, because Tom, back on the back of Kazizel into the left-hander at turn number 10, not going to get the job done coming through turn number 10. And these guys are fighting for their individuality out on track, as opposed to fighting for their team. As, do you know what I said about the mediums not getting to the end? They're not, because Jerry Van Bussel's into the pit lane.
Yeah, Jerry Van Bussel into the pit, so his charge for the lead has gone at the moment, but you never know, he could have a late safety car as well. And interestingly, when I go on spectate mode, all their helmets have my emblem on them as well, which is quite weird, unless they have the same emblem as me, which could even be even more weird. As Jerry goes on to a set of mediums, he's got, I think, Stefano for company, who's been on those hards for 21 laps. Stefano trying to fight. Remember, we saw Albon trying to fight cars that are a lot faster than him yesterday, and Stefano's trying to fight back here a little bit, heading towards turn number 3 and 4. Again, apologies for some audio issues, I think, at some points during the race. It comes and goes, unfortunately. And yeah, so I do apologise. It is a game, not my Elgato. I have tested my Elgato many a times today before we went on air, and it's definitely not that. So yeah, hopefully it gets fixed any time soon. So who's still yet to pit? Congo, Stefano still yet to pit. I will say the top 3 still yet to pit as well. Your net race leader could still be Jerry Van Bussel, because he's on those mediums now. He just pitted onto them. Or it could be Aurelian. It's either Aurelian or Jerry Van Bussel for the win. The gap's getting quite close between the pair of them very soon. Yossi comes in then for his stop. I don't think it'll be that long before Devin comes in too, I think. So I don't think those mediums are going to last that long into the race. So memes to the end for Yossi, and Stefano, I think, will come in soon. It's going to be close.
Jerry Van Bussel on the outside. I think he's just going to get ahead of Yossi in towards turn number 1. He will indeed. Jerry Van Bussel is ahead, and the undercut strategy has worked for the Talon Factory man on his Talon Factory teammate. And look at the gap. It's already 0.8 of a second. So that means Yossi has got to really put the hammer down on these mediums. Luckily, though, for him, on this game, the tyres switch on literally the flick of a light switch, and that is going to be to Yossi's advantage rather than to Jerry Van Bussel, because look, he is already keeping up with him. On the last game, it was more influence on the tyre wear and more influence on getting those tyres warmed up. Not really on this game with the new handling model. Jerry Van Bussel there in 6th, Yossi there in 7th, borderline of a second at this stage. So that means Yossi now behind Jerry Van Bussel. But now the question really means, and the question I have to ask to everyone really, is Aurelian, is he going to stay out to the end of the race? 10 laps to go after this one, just about to start lap 24 now. He has got a gap to Jerry Van Bussel of 13.7 seconds. Now, in my league racing career, I have seen a gap like that come down before around here in Spain, and I believe it happened in F2 2 seasons ago as well. So it remains to be seen whether Aurelian can get to the end, as Kazizel's going to go for the move on Tom and towards turn number 1 as well. So there's Kazizel back through and he's into 4th. They're having their very own private battle, I've got to say, for 4th and 5th. But with them two battling as well, Jerry Van Bussel and Yossi getting closer, that is going to really bring them into play. And with those fresher mediums, as Tom gets caught in the inside curve through 3, nearly ends up spinning, gap is 12.8 seconds. So already, Jerry Van Bussel on Aurelian has taken out half a second in that final sector alone. Aurelian might be in trouble come the end of the race.
Yeah, well, I think so too. So maybe staying on the hard strategy, picking under safety car may not have worked for them as well. I think we should try and get a poll up as well, but I can't remember how to do a poll in the chat, 'cause there's no option. Oh, engage with your audience, start a poll. So question is, which I'm going to put in chat when James will start speaking in a minute. Is Aurelian going to win at this race after pitting earlier on those hard tyres? Yes or no? So we'll do that pose. Markados gets past Marlon. They're going side by side through here, sweeping right-hander around the outside. Goes Marlon almost as well, heading towards New Holland once again then. Markados not going to give up this easily at the moment, with him staying in front of Marlon. It could be free wide between Jerry as well, right in the middle of this as well. Don't go free wide. Wannabe has to back off here. Oh no. It could have got worse for some drivers. Khalil, I think, got off worse out of everybody, and he's dropped down way up the field. I think this doesn't cause a safety car, luckily. The camera going free wide there was absolutely awful.
It was on my end as well, so don't blame the camera angle. Do not blame us. We are just getting the cameras fed on the on-track cameras, i.e. in-game cameras, and they are pretty bad. As Tom and Jerry Van Bussel are side by side coming out of turn number 8 and 9, and he gets the job done, and Yossi's going to flick through as well in towards turn number 9 as well. So that is Yossi through on Tom. Tom is still there on the outside line. Of course, he was in that championship fight last season, remember, with Max. Max is currently behind him out on track. So I wonder if them two are going to come to blows like they did in Brazil at the back end of last season in that full wet race. Aurelian leads the way. Devon in 2nd. Bolakongan there in 3rd. Dirk, I know that you have asked there in the chat the gap to the leader. 10.5 seconds is the gap between Jerry Van Bussel and Aurelian at this stage. That means he's close 3 seconds since I last saw. Jerry Van Bussel is flying out on track. He is taking quite a lot out of those mediums, don't get me wrong.
Look at that! Yossi, out of nowhere, did a dive bomb into turn number 1, and he got past Jerry, and I don't think he even used his overtake there. That was really brave, and he got past Jerry in a heartbeat, and he's on newer tyres as well. We could see Yossi, who I was not expecting to do well in this race, go on and take the race win, and he started even though down on the grid. This is absolutely insane. The best move of the race, I think. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
You called it. I missed it. I absolutely missed that. I was on board with Devon and Bolakongan ahead and thinking they're in a battle. But Yossi there in 4th has now got ahead of Jerry Van Bussel. That gap, as I was mentioning, 8.9 seconds. If Aurelian is going to stay out, he better stay out and hope that their tyres begin to go off as there's battling further down the field. Marcos and Benza are side by side coming through turn number 10. There's a bit of a slide there from the AlphaTauri as now the Mercedes comes back up the inside line through turn number 11. Job done for Marcos ahead of Benza. Much fresher tyres on the car because this will, by the way, put it in for a set of soft compound tyres further down the field as well as Volokongan flies past Devon in towards turn number 1. The good old days from PSF2 last season. Volokongan doing it into second. Devon there in third. Season 32, I should say, not season 33.
Not last season. What are you on about?
Even the best commentators can forget what they've commentated on once in a while. Jerry Van Bussel there on the back of Yossi, and the gap, as I say, 8.1 seconds. Yossi and Jerry Van Bussel. Now, if they get held up by Devon and Volokongan, that is going to be potential trouble for them. If they don't, I can see them catching the final 2 laps of the race. I really, really could. I'm going to hang out and put everything on the line, saying that Yossi and Jerry are going to catch with 2 laps to go. Marcos, however, has just got past on the PSF1 champion of last season in Max. Benza also filtering through there as well in 10th position. But if Jerry and Yossi get caught up in that little bit of a gap that Volokongan and Devon are coming back into, that could be potential trouble for the men in 4th and 5th, as Nando was still the beautiful dummy round the outside of turn number 10 on Tom. Gets the job done through and he's into 6th.
Brilliant stuff there as well. I did put a poll in the live chat. Can Aurelian win? 80% yes. 20% of you said no. So I think it's going to be brave if Aurelian can do it. I'm in the not sure camp at the moment as Volokongan comes in. I think we're going to be in for an exciting last few laps. So do watch this space and you're going to be in for an absolute treat at the moment. Those are the gaps to leader at the moment. But you can see Jerry does not want to give up that easy on his teammate Yossi. I think Yossi's come up in lots of leaps and bounds since the last game as well. Remember Max, he started off in F3 and F4 and he's come all the way down into F1 and became the F1 champion. So if anyone could do it, Yossi could do it, and it just shows that I think Talent Factory is definitely one of the best teams, I would say, on PlayStation without a doubt. And if anyone thinks otherwise, then I would argue that statement. But I think Shizu, will have a lot to say on that one, as Marcos having a battle with Tom once more, heading towards turn number 9 and 10. Here he comes then. DRS enabled. Again, very, very powerful. Does not get the move past just yet, does Tom. But at the moment, he's going to score some decent points. Gap now at 10th on a Devon between Yossi as well. So we'll see what Yossi could do. He can't afford to be held up there a little bit, so he's got to go for the move ASAP. I know Devon's definitely going to be fine for this because Devon is very keen. Jerry Van Bussel, he's going to get past hopefully maybe 2 of them. Head towards T1, does he? Yes, he does. Absolutely amazing. Again, the camera, not very good there, so I had to cut to Jerry there. Jerry, out of the space of one corner, he gets past 2 drivers, and Jerry at the moment is leading, well, the net race lead of this race, unless obviously Aurelian can win this one as well. But Jerry Van Bussel is definitely catching. But you were saying that they needed to not get held up by Devon. They had no trouble at all getting past Devon. They made it look easy.
They caught, to be honest, at the worst possible part of the track, though, which is why the gap is now so big. 5 seconds now, the gap between them, as Jerome has retired there in the pit lane. I think he had a spin coming out of turn number 3, I spied on the mini-map, so that's unfortunate for the Dutchman. They're down. Will be in 15th position when Kazisel and Stefano move through. 4.9 seconds the gap. 4 laps to go after this one. They're going to have to catch at a big rate. Aurelian leading the way, 21 lap old hards. They could potentially puncture towards the end of the race. Jerry Van Bussel and Yossi will be fine. Yossi, remember, formerly of Juventus Racing, moved there in the past month. Yossi now on the back of Jerry in towards turn number 1, and he's going to fly on past him as well down the straight. And this is what they need to do. They need to trade positions to help each other. And they've got a Red Bull coming out of turn number 1. Ghosted, luckily. Goodness me, that could have been absolutely carnage coming through there if that wasn't. Marcos through on Nando, Max through on Benza as well, further down the field as well. 4.6 seconds. The more that Aurelian begins to try and hang on, the less chance it is likely for Yossi and Jerry Van Bussel to lead and to get into contention. There was another yellow flag, however. That was Tom, I think, in that middle sector who would spun coming out of turn number 9, maybe just preparing for fastest lap attempt, potentially him. But Aurelian leading the way, 4.4 seconds. I tell you what, you might be spot on here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very tight with 3 laps to go very soon too at the end of the day. But get your last-minute poll entries in the chat for if Aurelian is going to be winning. It's almost an even split, but it's still 64% of you said yes, 36% of you said no. And I think at the moment, it looks like the majority are going to be right on this occasion as Max gets a time penalty as he's been under pressure from Benza. But let's watch Jerry on Yossi once again. If I was those two, I would work together to catch up to Aurelian, not fight with each other. Then what you could do after that is then fight after that. Just don't fight for each other yet because you're going to lose so much time. That's why Aurelian has gained all this time on you, because those two keep squabbling. That's what I've seen in many league races. Just work together and you'll be absolutely fine. I'm sure they'll be communicating with each other in a party or maybe just for a little bit of fun. Anyways, Nando on the back of Marcos. That's going to be an interesting fight for 5th place. Bearing in mind, Devin, Max, Kian, Stefano and Cadillo have got time penalties which will be added until the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see how that affects their race results. Obviously, again, no stewarding involved for tonight's social race. I do believe there'll be one social race next week. I think it'll be just one more, obviously before sign-ups open. Tom sets a fast lap on the sauce. We've got 1, 2, 3 drivers on the sauce currently. We don't need the tyres. Most people are on mediums now currently, apart from Aurelian, who's on the hards. 2 laps to go for Aurelian once he crosses the line. It's going to be a bit of a touch and go, but if he does do it, then that's going to be absolutely amazing for him. But bearing in mind, he got a podium here in PSGL F1 last season, so to be honest, it's not surprising that his pace is so good around here.
Yeah, definitely not. Apologies for the reaction, by the way. Yossi just nearly spun it coming out of turn number 11. Goodness me, gave the front of my life, certainly. Jerry Van Bussen now back up to 2nd as a result of that. Yossi there in 3rd. The gap is closing, 2.6 seconds. It's not over and done with just yet. Aurelian, ideally, as he got... I thought he had a rear right puncture on the car, like a slow puncture. I'm just trying to have a look. He's fine at the minute, but those tyres are beginning to really shoot off. Aurelian 2.4 seconds. There could be the order, of course. The order, I don't know, 100 maybe for Jerry Van Bussen. And you say, you know what, hold up. We'll give you a 3-way battle for the race lead on the final lap of the race. That'll be very good, I think, from our perspective. But Aurelian leading the way from Jerry in 2nd. Yossi there in 3rd. And here comes Yossi actually to the back of turn number 10 on Jerry. Not getting quite close enough again, but Aurelian leading the way. 2.3 seconds the gap over Jerry. The gap is still closing. If there was more laps in this race, I think they will get them very, very easily indeed. Aurelian's tyres definitely begin to go off the cliff towards the end, but it will be around, as Dirk has mentioned, about a second, I think, separate them toward the end of the race, as Yossi's back within the slipstream again on the back of Jerry in towards turn number 1, and I think they've accepted defeat, but Yossi now makes his bid for glory. Still possible, but Aurelian leads onto the final lap as Devon has had a spin and has actually been overtaken, I should say, by Nando and Marcos, who are side by side in towards turn number 1. Marcos and Nando, no inch given, and the Aston Martin just about comes out on top in Nando, but Aurelian slowing down 1.2 seconds. The gap is closing very quickly.
I wonder if Aurelian's slowing down on purpose to give his teammates a little bit of a fight. I hope that's potentially the case. Is that... I swear I can see a punch on the rear left. Or is it just
That's
me?
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I swear I can see a puncher, but it's really hard to see, or if he's slowing his down to give his teammates a little bit of a battle, but I don't know. If that's the case, that reminds me of Lewis Hamilton back in, what was it, 2020? When he had a massive puncher, and he still went on to win the race, even when Max Verstappen catched him. We could see the same here.
No.
But I don't think we're going to see the same as Aurelian is speeding up once again. Aurelian, who has been on those tyres for so long, I think after that first safety car, Aurelian wins the social race here today in Spain. Yossi takes 2nd, Jay Van Bussel in 3rd, Nando 4th, and Marcos is on top. 5-4, that was a good run to the line there. Bender gets them on penalties by 83,000. And it is a talent battery 1, 2, 3. What do you think of that, James?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think Aurelian managed that race so well, and what I've seen from the Frenchman in so many races I've commentated on is he knows how to save his tyres towards the end of the race, especially around a track like this, especially around a track like Spain. The Frenchman comes out on top. Yossi there in second, perhaps a man that you're going to be taking forward certainly into PSF1 next season. Jerry Van Bussel there in third as well, of course, for season 34 is what I mentioned. Yossi there in second, Jerry Van Bussel in third. Again, do not be surprised if they're in PSF1 next season. But given how split up the field was, Max in the end down in seventh, Devon there in eighth did very well. There are drivers further down the field and even drivers that retired out of this race that we didn't get the full, real insight into how they were doing out on track, which means on a much even more playing field, like Qatar, I think is going to be the next track next week. It remains to be seen what we're going to see. Some of these drivers might have just been sandbagging. Yossi gets driver of the day. He definitely wasn't sandbagging. Definitely deserves driver of the day, and he is definitely a name to take forward in that big ascension that he's had since the back end of the last game.
It's not Qatar. I thought it was Qatar, but I was looking at the wrong thing. If it's the same as a PC social race, it's going to be Bahrain as a week 2 social races. PSGL, I think, wanted to go a bit different than other leagues, which I have to say, Bahrain does look pretty cool on this game with the new graphics. So I'm looking forward to that. Bahrain always brings out a classic at PSGL. So that will be the social race next week. Hopefully we will get to race Qatar at some point, but we may have to wait for season 34 or season 35 to do that. I think a lot of people would want it on this season, not gonna lie, myself included. I'll be having words to encourage them to put it on the calendar, please. Thank you very much. So Aurelian wins from 9th on the grid, Yossi in 2nd from 16th on the grid, Jerry Van Bussel from 12th on the grid. Bearing in mind the top 3 came from outside the top 5 on the grid. That just shows how great this race was. Nando in 4th, Benza 5th, Marcador 6th, then we've got Max, Devon, Marlon, Bolokongan, your top 10, then we've got Kian, Stefano, Tom, Cazizzo, Stefano, your top 15. Your retirements are Jerome, Mubarak, Jensen, Rowan, and Mali. Luckily, these socials are not the evaluation races, because they will have the evaluations to do later on, well, in the next couple of weeks. So at least the social races do not decide their placement. At least they have more time to practice for that one. But James, who do you think is your driver of the day? Who do you think stepped up to the mark?
Judging by his qualifying was pretty shocking down in 16th, but Yossi, I've got to be really impressed by Yossi. He really ascended, I think, in the NLR event that I did last season. Really ascended in there. Juventus Racing came absolutely alive in that event. They lost, of course, their biggest asset, their biggest driver, I think, moving forward in Yossi to Talent Factory. Yossi, for me, driver of the day. Jerry Van Bussel, absolute gold. Have to say out that because he was in F2 last season and the champion last season as well. But he did a fantastic job. Pretty much everyone, I think, did a fantastic job. Yes, there was contact. Yes, there was a little bit of desync here and there, but that is what you come to expect. We're still in the infancy of the game. And going forward, I know patches are going to be coming out. I think patches are going to be coming out next week. And that means the more issues that get fixed, the much better racing there will be, especially around a track like this in Spain.
Yes, and I have to say, even though we've had those issues, the racing, like you were saying earlier, definitely made up for it. And again, I hope Spain is on the calendar next season, because I think we're going to have fixed more entertaining races like this one. I don't think we're going to be having interviews tonight as well, because it is the social race. But final plug for our sponsors then, GT Omega. Make sure you go and check them out. Link is in the description. You can use the command !GT Omega. You can get 5% off GT Omega products. You can get amazing products like this one, so make sure you check them out. Also check out our Discord, check out our Twitter at PremierSimGL, where you can keep up to date on all things PSGL and when sign-ups open and all that stuff. Also, check out our Instagram at PremierSimGL, and I can't remember if they have TikTok or not. I'm not entirely sure on that one. James, any final thoughts before we head off?
Race in Spain, looking forward to the rest of the season. Delighted to be alongside you, of course, Jess. Hopefully not for the last time either. Brilliant racing, and more to look forward to in F1 23.
Yes, make sure you check out PC F1 on Wednesdays. They start their season 34 with George Morgan and Jack Canal in the commentary box. That starts at 7 p.m. That's going to be the next PSGL action on your screens. But for myself and James, we will leave you with our title sponsor, GT Omega, for one final time. Take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.
on the left-hand side. Hugs the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.